What is up, everyone, and welcome back to Across the Board, sponsored by MoneyBall Metrics. You have your normal host, myself, Alpha Dog Bets, here with JD from Line Movers, and we have Ben from We Beat the Spread. Fellas, interesting weekend. JD, I'll start with you. How was your weekend? How did you do?
Man, this weekend was rough. I actually have been hot, I feel like, for actually a while now. But yeah, this weekend was not it. Very, very rough. And also currently right now where I am, it looks like there's actually a tropical storm actually outside. But I actually will say, as far as tonight's card goes, it actually looks pretty good. So.
It's a pretty good Monday slate. I'm not going to lie. There's a lot of plays that I like, and we're going over most of them today. Ben, we'll go over to you. How was your weekend? How did you do?
Much like JD, not a great weekend over here. Pretty bad on most of the bets. The UFC card on Saturday just went the exact opposite of how I expected everything to go. It wasn't a great card, but
boring.
This is Monday, so we got a new week. Fresh start.
What a boring UFC card. I mean, every single fight in the main event went the distance. I know Dana's not looking for that. Everyone likes to see the exciting finishes, a submission, a knockout. We didn't get any of them, so it definitely was an interesting card. For me, I had a decent weekend. I had a big Sunday, but I had a lousy Saturday, so I had a good day and a bad day, so those wash each other out. But boys, JD put it perfectly. We have a beautiful slate today. I'm excited to dive into it. Before we do, as always, Nick Castrucci is here. We appreciate you tuning in. Nick, happy Monday to you as well. It is time for a big bounce back. We are going to have a big week, and it starts today with this breakdown and with this show. Boys, you ready to get into our first breakdown of the day?
Yes, sir.
So we're going to start with baseball today, guys. We're going to cover 4 baseball games, and we're going to cover the NFL game. Of course, we had to give you guys the Monday night action. But this show was built on baseball. We do very well in baseball. So we're going to kick it off today with the Dodgers, who are visiting the Braves. To me, it's the best pitching matchup of the day. Yoshinobu Yamamoto is pitching for the Dodgers. He's 6-2 with a 2.77 ERA. On the other side, Max Fried, 9-9 with a 3.46 ERA. Ben, we'll start with you. What do you like in this game?
Yeah, so I was kind of looking at this matchup, and I was looking at the Dodgers over the last few weeks, which is pretty important because they're up against Max Fried tonight, who's a lefty. I do think this is a game that the Dodgers are going to break them open pretty early. The Dodgers have been crushing left-handed pitching over the last few weeks, hitting .290, third best in baseball behind the Nationals and Diamondbacks. They've kind of just been teeing off on lefties, and you have a few of their lefty bats who hit very well off lefties like Ohtani and Freeman. So I do think this is a matchup where they're actually going to get to Fried. We've seen him struggle a little bit recently. Most recent outing, he gave up 11 hits in his outing against the Nationals, only ended up giving up 4 earned runs. I thought it probably could have been more if they would have hit better with runners in scoring position. But, even in the month before that, August, he had a 4.96 ERA. So after a very, very strong start to the season, he's kind of started to regress a little bit. And if you're facing this Dodgers team right now, the way they're hitting against lefties, it's going to be a bad day. And then Yamamoto, obviously coming back off the IR, pitched a scoreless outing last time, only 4 innings because he was coming back off the IL, of course, against the Cubs. But it was a good start. They weren't going to make him pitch 100 pitches in that outing coming off the IL. But he could go a little bit deeper in this one. He only hit 60 pitches last time. I think he could get up to 80.
I agree.
Closer to that this time. So I think we see another strong start from him. I mean, he was excellent before going on the IL. So a lot of good momentum seeing him coming back, pitch that scoreless outing. I do think that they capitalized on that. I think it's a Dodgers play tonight. I do.
You made a good point there with Yamamoto. He was on a pretty strict pitch count in his last start. The good news for this Dodgers team is they don't really have any competition to win the NL West. I know that the Padres are only 3.5 games back, but there is only 14 to 15 games remaining. They're in a really good spot, so they don't really need Yamamoto to go all out here. They don't need to risk him re-aggravating his injuries. For me, guys, you know what I'm looking at in this game. I don't even need to say it. The total is sitting at 7.5. It's a very low total because we do have 2 solid starting pitchers. However, I do love the over in this matchup, over 7.5. Let's look at the Dodgers' last 5 ball games. Last game, 9-2. Game before that, 10-1. Game before that, 6-2. Game before that, 10-8. Game before that, 6-3. All 5 of their last games have gone over this total. On the Braves side, they're seeing a ton of runs as well. 4 of their last 5s have gone over this total. And you guys know how I feel about great starting pitching matchup. We see a lot of money come in on the under because they think these guys are both fantastic, which they are both really good pitchers. However, in a full game, this will get to the bullpen. These teams will put up runs. Both teams have good offenses. Give me the over 7.5, one of my favorite plays of the day. JD, what you got today?
Yeah, pretty much everything Ben said. Uh, I'm actually on the same here with actually him. Breed, he's just not back yet. I mean, like he's back out there, but he's just not back yet. The Braves have only won three out of his past 10 starts. As far as the Dodgers, I really think that they should actually get to him. And just like y'all both said, as far as Yamamoto goes, he only pitched actually 4 innings last time, but he actually struck out 8. So I mean, like he like pitched very well.
Absolutely.
And actually overall for like me, this is just a cheap price. I think the Dodgers should be priced more in the -1. I have it at -146. So
there we go. Some good value from JD. Looks like we have some different opinions here. So hopefully a couple of us will get this win here. Let's move right along to the second game on the day, guys, which is going to be I hit the wrong button. There we go. Phillies who are visiting the Brewers. Pitching for the Phillies, Ranger Danger Suarez. He's coming in 12-6 with a 3.05 ERA. He's been fantastic for this team. On the other side, Aaron Savale. Savale's coming in 6-8 with a 4.57. He has not been as fantastic. But, guys, this line's a little fishy. I mean, we see this game. The Phillies are coming in at a -110. Brewers are currently a -106. The pitching matchup looks like it's heavily in favor of the Phillies. Why is this game favoring the Brewers, and is this the stinkiest game of the day? Ben, I'll go to you.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up this line because the Phillies have kind of stormed through the later part of the season this year, 21-9 over their last 30 games. They've moved into the #1 spot in baseball above the Dodgers and Yankees. They look like they're really picking up steam, which is what you want to do in September. They're kind of doing it well. We're going to see if they can finish it off this year because they're looking like they could easily run through the NL. I mean, they're going to have the Dodgers to run through in the playoffs. But, I mean, right now they're looking like the most balanced team to me. They really are looking the best. So the fact that we get a hot Phillies team pitching Ranger Suarez on the mound against the 4.57 ERA Aaron Savale, it's very, very fishy to me. You do have a Monday game for the Phillies here off a weekend series. They were playing at home against the Mets. Now they're traveling on the road to Milwaukee, kind of starting the season off or starting the week off. I do think this is a little bit of a fishy spot because Savale's actually pitched much better at home, 3.3 ERA at home this year. Ranger Suarez has been very good on the road, but much like we were just talking about Max Fried, the Ranger Suarez himself, he's been struggling a little bit in his last few starts. I mean, he just gave up 4 earned runs to the Rays last time out, and then he didn't pitch Suarez against the Marlins. But you just look back on his few starts over the last 6-7 starts, and he's given up 3-4 earned runs in a lot of them. So I think this is actually a spot where the Brewers, if they can put up 2 to 3 off him, make this into a bullpen kind of game where it's close in the later innings, I do think that they'll have a shot to win this one. I don't like either side in this game. I would say don't even touch it, but I would actually say I would lean towards the under. It's sitting at 8.5. I do think this is kind of a 2-2, 3-3 game going into the later innings. So hopefully there's no extras because of that. But I think it's kind of that lower scoring feeling type of game where it ends like 4-3.
I'll quickly go here, guys. Sometimes the best play you can make on a game is no play. I said that all the time on the show, and I am definitely not making a play in this game. Savale, when he has started, the Brewers have won 4 of their last 5 starts. Doesn't make any sense with his numbers. But then when you look at the season series, the Brewers have not beaten the Phillies once this year. The Phillies are 3-0 against them. This line stinks. It just does. I'm not going to have any action on this. We'll see if JD has any action for us.
Nothing, guys. This game could really actually go like either way here. As actually far as Ranger goes, he actually got hit up his actual last start. So with this being a road start for him, I actually could see a bounce back spot. But the Brewers bats, they are really hot. Their past 2 games, they've actually scored 10 and actually then 15 runs. So for me, I mean, as far as this, I have the Phillies favored very small here at a -117. So I mean, for me, that's how I would lean. But yeah, this is definitely a pass.
I think we're all in the same boat here, guys. Sometimes if it walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, It's a duck, so we're leaving this one alone. We're moving right on to the next game, guys, which we have the D-backs. We're taking on the Rockies. Pitching for the D-backs in this one is going to be Merrill Kelly. He's 4-0 on the year with a 4.26 ERA. Crazy numbers there. I always point out how the ERA reflects on their win-loss record. The guy has a near 4.5 ERA, but he has not lost yet. Interesting stats. On the other side, season debut for Antonio Sensatella. He's been good in the past. Does he get it right here, or is this a spot you kind of want to avoid because he is making his season debut? Ben, per usual, we're going to you. What do you got?
Yeah, Antonio Sensatella is somehow back in the MLB. I mean, I don't really get it. Obviously, the Rockies rotation and everything, it's not like they're head killers anyway, but this guy has just never been very good, especially pitching in Coors. So it's tough because the Diamondbacks were so hot in August. They've kind of cooled off a little bit. They're now 10-10 over their last 20 games. But they had some really good momentum. I think they're cooling off just a little bit. This is a tough spot. The Rockies seem to usually play better at home. They've actually played better against winning teams this year. It's really weird. But they're actually 36-53 against winning teams, 21-40 against losing teams. It's a very weird thing. They're actually doing better this year against teams above 500. And especially at home, they're just a scrappy team that you never really know exactly how they're going to play. But this game in this series, I think there's better spots to take the Diamondbacks in this series than game one here. Just with how Merrill Kelly's making his third start this year against the Rockies, as you start to see that pitcher more and more throughout the season, it's going to get a little bit tougher because he did really well against them the first two times. Only one earned run in his first start when he pitched against them in Arizona. And he actually pitched in Coors after that, only gave up 2 earned runs, which is pretty good for Coors Field. So I think this is a spot where the Rockies could be dangerous here. Maybe in game one, kind of surprise some people. I think there's just better spots in this series to take the Diamondbacks if you're gonna be betting on them. Even though it is Sensatella, you just never know what you're gonna see from him. Like maybe he comes out and for some reason he added a new pitch to his arsenal and he looks excellent or something like that, which I don't think will happen, but it's just not worth it for the price for me in game one here. So no play for me here again.
You know what's interesting about this series? I know that the Rockies do play good teams better than they play bad teams, but the D-backs have absolutely owned them this year. Arizona leads the series 8-2, and you kind of put it perfectly. Sensazella is a big question mark, and if it's not technically a question mark, it's a negative remark because he just hasn't been that great in his career. That's why we haven't seen a lot of him the last couple of years. You put that perfectly, Ben. But to me, this total says everything. They're projecting 11 runs in this game. It is juiced to the over. I don't think we're going to quite see that many. I lean the under, but my official play is going to be the D-backs by the -1.5. I think the bats will stay hot. I think they will be able to put it to the Rockies in this series, and they should be able to get the win here. The D-backs last game put up 11 runs. The game before they put up 8 runs. They had a stinker the game before that where they only had 1, but the game before they had 14. The game before they had 6. So their bats have been hot, and this Rockies team has struggled all year long, and especially against this D-backs team. You can currently get the -1.5 at a -110 odds, and that's exactly what I'm playing. It is going to make my best bets. I will let it out early. I love this play. JD, any action from you?
Okay, well, Alpha leans on the under, and the over is actually probably my favorite play of the day.
All right.
As far as the D-backs games, they've been scoring a lot of runs. They've actually scored at least 8 runs in actually 3 of the past 4 games. They have actually Kelly going to a night, and honestly, he has just not been good. And as far as the Rockies, they actually should get runs here. Then on the other side, as far as the D-backs go, they should absolutely tee off here. As far as the Rockies tonight, they're throwing. I cannot say his name.
Sensatella.
This is his first. This actually is going to be his first start in actually over a year now. In the actual minor leagues, he has had 5 starts, and they haven't gone well. He has an ERA actually like over 5 there. And those have all been in either single A or either actually double A. So actually, like, he hasn't even seen triple A yet. So tonight I see that as a problem.
Yeah.
And yeah, tonight I just see runs and more runs. So the total is set at 11, and I see it going over that. So
Let's see Sensatella get absolutely rocked. You'll be able to get your over. I'll be able to get the D-backs, and Ben has no play, so we only need the two of us to be happy after this one. Let's keep it moving right along, fellas, for our final baseball breakdown of the day. We're going to the Astros, who are taking on the Padres. Pitching for the Astros, friend of the show, Spencer Arrighetti. Spencer Spaghetti is going up against Yu Darvish. Darvish is coming in 5-3 with a 3.5 ERA. On the other side, Spencer Spaghetti, 7-12 with a 4.72 ERA. Guys, Arrighetti was looking great for quite a while. He did have a good run where he was getting a lot of strikeouts. He has seemed to regress a little bit as the season has now gone on a little later. Ben, we'll start with you. Are you back in Arrighetti, or are you leaning more towards the Padres?
Yeah, the Astros have had a pretty weird season, honestly. Because a team,
to say the least,
in the postseason, everyone kind of was like, "Oh, is it over with their rotation?" Hit some guys that just weren't producing. Arrighetti, Brown, Verlander was on the IL. It just looked like their season wasn't going anywhere. Then all of a sudden, they storm ahead. They take the division because they're pretty much gonna. I mean, they are only 4.5 games ahead, but there's only like 12 games left. That's gonna be tough.
It's too big of a gap. It's too big of a gap.
It's a little bit too big of a gap for only like 12 games left in the season. So the Astros have pretty much won it in my eyes, unless they literally had the most generational fumble of all time. So the fact that they were able to do that, part of that was Arrighetti, because like you mentioned, he had a good run, started the season horribly. Then into August, he got really hot, 1.95 ERA. And then he went out against Cincinnati, had a really weird spot start where he gave up a bunch of hits. Now, he did give up 9 runs. A few of them were off errors. He gave up 9 runs, but only 3 earned. And he just didn't last longer than even the first inning. That was a tough one. He came back out. He pitched only 2 earned runs against Oakland, which is actually pretty good because their offenses somehow looked really weirdly good in the second half of the season. So I actually thought that was a really good bounce back start for him to try and get back on track. If he was coming into this one off that Cincinnati start, I'd be a lot more worried. But honestly, I think he's going to have a pretty good outing tonight. I think a lot of people look at this game and this line and think of Arrighetti as not a great pitcher because he has that high 4.7 ERA. You look on the other side, you Darvish, who, won a Cy Young before. He's a very good pitcher. He's a 3.5 on the season. He was in the IL, came back, but he's kind of struggled. He's been on a pitch count. He's only hit 63 pitches in both outings, and he just hasn't looked great against both of his starts since coming back actually were against Detroit, who's not great, and then Seattle, who has like one of the worst offenses in the league. So I just think that this spot where Yu Darvish hasn't quite really worked back into his rhythm, kind of the same thing as we've seen across the league. Pitchers coming off the IL. And Arrighetti has frankly looked like a much better pitcher than we saw earlier in the season. So I like the Astros here. It seems like they have a lot of momentum after almost clinching the division. I mean, in a few wins, they're going to clinch. So kind of working towards
I will say quickly, just to interject here, I didn't know this. I did just look up the schedule. The Astros and the Mariners do have a 3-game series coming up next week. So they do have a chance. They kind of have a chance. If they didn't play each other, they'd have no chance. But they can gain 3 games in all 3 games they play them. So a little bit more of a chance than I anticipated. Did not realize they had a series of 3 together.
But the Astros have to, I mean, I don't know.
They're going to have to really collapse. They're going to have to really collapse.
3-7 or 2-8 or sorry, 3. There's 12 games left. So they'd have to go like 4-8, something like that. I mean, it might even be worse than that. Actually, I don't know the exact math, but it would be somewhere around there. And I just don't see it from them the way they've been playing. So that 3-game series is going to be big. But what are the chances that the Mariners sweep them? Exactly.
I mean, they got a shot though. They do have a shot.
So you're saying there's a chance?
Exactly.
But I do like the Astros. I like them as underdogs as well here.
You guys know where I'm going. I mean, did you guys see what the total in this game is? We got another 7.5, boys. And then when you take a look at how Yu Darvish's last 5 starts have gone, 10 runs, 11 runs, 10 runs, 8 runs, 10 runs total in the game. All 5 games Yu Darvish has started in his last 5 have gone over this total, and it's sitting really low. This is another one where I don't think the total should be at a 7.5. I think it truly should be an 8.5, 9 line. I think it's a great price right now at over 7.5 at -115. Spencer Arrighetti can get hit. There are some big bats on the Padres. They can get some runs. And we all know this Astros lineup has some power lefties that will be able to see some good pitches off Yu Darvish. I think we will see some runs here over 7.5. Letting it out early, this is going to be another best bet for me. JD, any action from you before we get into what everyone's waiting for, the Monday Night Football game?
Yeah, but y'all just really said actually like everything. For me, this actually is like more of a 50-50 game. I have the Astros as a slight favorite here, so actually like I'm seeing actually value there. And then the total I have at 8.1 runs. So I'm seeing some actually value there. So I actually like both of y'all's plays. But actually, for me, there's just not quite enough value there to actually play it.
So you know what that time is then. Boys, it's time to get into the Falcons versus the Eagles. Guys, if you bet every single underdog this week in the NFL, you made out like an absolute bandit. It was the week of the underdog, but we go into Monday night. This Eagles team looks poised to have an absolutely monster season. Saquon Barkley has adjusted right to that team and has looked fantastic in the addition. But the big issue for the Eagles tonight is they're not going to have A.J. Brown, who has been the catalyst for the deep ball to move this offense in big chunk plays. Is that going to affect them? Is Devontae Smith a good prop target? Ben, we'll go to you. What do you like in this Falcons-Eagle game?
Yeah, so there's actually two things I like in this game, and I'll cover the first one quickly. It's actually going to be a prop. It's going to be Kirk Cousins over 33.5 passing attempts.
Okay.
Everyone's kind of talking about how they were wondering if he looked 100% healthy. I think it was more of a case of that Pittsburgh defense may quite literally be, in my eyes, the best defense in the NFL this year.
I agree.
Truly,
I agree.
They might be. If they're not the best right now, I'd say they're second or third best defense, just from the way that whole defense is coming together and when they're healthy. Because for a lot of last year, people forget that their key pieces weren't even healthy. Minkah Fitzpatrick was out for a while. They had a lot of D-line issues. They had Watt out for a while. So they weren't fully healthy last year. They're healthy right now coming into this season, and their defense looks like easily a top 3. And I dare to put them up at 1. So I think that was kind of more the case for week 1 against the Falcons, especially with Cousins playing his first game off that Achilles injury. I just think there was too much pressure. The secondary was just clogging up all those passing lanes. So even then, he still got to 26 passing attempts. They barely even had the ball. And, there's just a bunch of short throws, and he got to 26 passing attempts. I think we're going to see a game tonight where they're just going to be peppering those short throws. I mean, they ended up having, I think it was 5 receptions to Bijan Robinson. They targeted him 5 times. They were just kind of peppering the ball and they don't have that true number 1 guy, and it kind of almost makes it more dangerous because they had multiple options with Ray McLeod, Bijan, Kyle Pitts, Mooney, London. Like London only finished the game with 3 targets. That was more interesting to me. Just the fact of how much they're spreading the ball out. And I think that leads to a very short passing game where they're just going to kind of be peppering those throws for Cousins, make those easy throws. Especially, again, let's not forget that that secondary for the Eagles really struggled last year. I mean, that was one of their main pieces of the whole team on both sides of the ball. That Eagles secondary, they gave up the second most yards to wide receivers per game last year. So I think they're going to really take advantage of that. I know that Cooper DeJean is out there. They kind of drafted him to try and take care of that, but he just hasn't looked great so far. So I really think the passing game script in this game is just going to be those short, easy throws for Cousins, and he's going to sail over 33.5 passing attempts. So that's my favorite prop. I don't know if you want to go around and come back to me, or should I just go with both?
Go with both.
Okay. Well, my other one is going to be actually Jalen Hurts over, and I think this line actually just moved, but Jalen Hurts over 9.5 rushing attempts. It has gone a little bit higher, but in week 1, we saw him with 13 rushing attempts. This is just a spot where I really think this offense, and as weird as it sounds, but with Saquon Barkley in the backfield, I think that actually plays more into his rushing attempts because they're just a truly running team now, and especially without A.J. Brown. I mean, tonight is going to be one of the most throwback NFL run-style teams you're going to see, because that's truly what I think their offensive identity is going to be this year. Jason Kelce isn't under center anymore, which kind of sucks for the tush push. They still tried it, and they still got it, even without him, so that looked good.
Doesn't look as good, though. Like, realistically, it doesn't look as good.
I think they did it like twice. If I'm remembering correctly, it worked both times. So even with that, and you could get potential kneel downs here, which count as rush attempts at the end of the game if they're winning. But either way, I think he's going to pass 10 again. Just even with Saquon Barkley, because I've seen a lot of people taking his 17.5 rushing attempts. The rushing attempts seem to be pretty even in week 1 because he's one of the most mobile quarterbacks in the league. And this Falcons defense, they have a good secondary. They have a good defense. So I think if they're bringing pressure, he's just going to take off. I think if he doesn't see that first read without A.J. Brown out there, he's just going to take off. So I think we're going to see a lot of that tonight. He's going to hit 10 rushing attempts easily. So those are my 2 favorite props, both on quarterbacks.
All right. Do you have any sides on the game or the total? You're just sticking with the props today?
I purposely am going props because I'm actually very torn on the side. I would lean Falcons, but it's been such a week of the underdog and there is still that kind of that question mark with Kirk Cousins, as effective as he is. I know I'm taking his pass attempts, but we know he can throw the ball. It's just like, how effective are they truly? Because as much as I made the points about the Steelers defense last week, it could just be that they are out of funk and that they aren't doing great. So that's why I like the passing attempts actually versus the completions. because he throws the ball either way. You're going to get that passing attempt as long as
Yeah.
it's near guy. He doesn't have to complete it, so it'll still count. But I'm not taking the completions actually for that reason. I know he'll be airing out, but I don't know if he'll be completing them. So I would take the Falcons if you put a gun to my head, but I don't think I'm going to bet the side in this one.
See, I feel the opposite. One thing that stuck out to me watching this Falcons game in their first one is that Kirk Cousins didn't look healthy. Like, he looked like he was still laboring the leg that was injured, the Achilles that was injured, and he wasn't stepping into his throws and having great success. He was kind of erratic. He wasn't able to really have good accuracy. It looked like he was really mentally thinking about that Achilles. And a bunch of the highlights pointed out that he wasn't stepping the right way. He was stepping with his wrong foot first because he was probably afraid to re-aggravate it. I think that's a real issue. I think he really still is banged up, and he's playing behind an offensive line that doesn't really protect him. So I do think that he will throw the ball a lot because I think the Eagles are going to get up big in this game. And the way the Falcons are going to have to get into this game is throw themselves back into it. I know it was the week of the underdog. All these big underdogs had a great weekend. I think the Eagles roll in this game by double digits. I really do. The Falcons showed me nothing in that Steelers game, nothing at all. I know they were able to keep the Steelers out of the end zone, but they still had 6 scoring drives to get the 6 field goals. That doesn't show me a lot, especially when you're going up against this Eagles team. They can hit you in the pass. They can hit you on the run. They can run options. They have so many different ways they can attack you, this Eagles team, that I do think that they are going to be too much for this Falcons team to handle. And the Eagles defense should be blitzing all night long. We saw a great game script from Pittsburgh and how to disrupt this offense of the Falcons right now. Until Kirk Cousins gets some more, what's the word I'm looking for? Confidence. I think you can blitz him all game long. And I think if you blitz him all game long, he will make a ton of mistakes. So my official play on this game is going to be the Eagles minus 5.5. I'm going to give out a touchdown score as well because in prime time, I've given out 4 touchdown scorers this year. All 4 have cashed, so we're going to keep that trend going. And I'm going Dallas Goedert anytime touchdown. I think we're going to see a lot more usage out of the big tight end this week, especially that we're not going to have A.J. Brown. Dallas Goedert is the security blanket for Jalen Hurts. He's used them time and time again and loves to look for him on the check down or in the red zone. So give me Dallas Goedert anytime touchdown at plus 210. I'm also taking the Eagles by the spread. Currently, that spread is at minus 5.5. JD, what do you got for the people?
Well, Alpha, you just said that all extremely well.
Thank you.
To me, Kirk, he actually also just does not actually look right. So actually then you have primetime Kirk, and actually, like, we all know that he's not good. So like adding in adding up actually both of those, I think it's going to be a rough night for actually them. You really said about actually like all of my points here.
Sorry about that.
I had this game priced. I had the Eagles favored by 7-point run, and I have the 7.1, and I have the total at a 46.2 here. I am going to go a little bit different here. The first half, I actually really like them there. They're actually going to come out and actually they're actually going to come out and get the job done here.
I agree.
So give me the Eagles in the first half. And actually, like a -3 is out there still. And then give me Saquon. Give me actually him to actually score twice.
Okay.
And actually a plus 310.
Big news for you, JD. I'm actually looking at that because I was contemplating giving out Saquon +2 for my touchdown prop. And good news, it's plus 320, not plus 310. So you get an extra 10-cent payout there.
There we go.
I like
it. I do as well. He had a great first week. What do you have, 3 touchdowns or 4? If he didn't have 4, he could have had 4 on the last drive. So I love that play, and I think he's going to be heavily utilized with A.J. Brown being out.
This Eagles team is going to be pure running, I think, this year. I think it's going to be just with how good Saquon is, now one of the most mobile quarterbacks and a banged-up receiver. I mean, AJ's going to come back, but you just don't know for the season now he's getting up there in age and everything. I think this is going to be a purely running team this year. You're going to see just a bunch of running from this. It's going to look like a college football.
Army football?
Option. Yeah, it's going to look like a college football triple option. It's going to be insane.
The one thing I think this will do for the Eagles this year is I think that they will be the best play action team in football. I think if they keep running and running and running, they're able to open it up with Saquon. He has a couple big 10-yard runs. You do that little play action fake and you go deep to A.J. Brown, you're going to have some success. Yeah. So this offense is scary. I think that you added one of the most dynamic players in the NFL, like Saquon Barkley, to the pieces they already had. They're going to be good, and they're going to make a lot of noise on the offensive side. Guys, it is time to dive into our outlier play of the day. Guys, you can see right here who we have. We have Dallas Goedert. There's a reason I love him today, and we're also going with him for this as well. We have his longest reception to be over 18.5 yards. In his last 5 games, you guys can see how he's done. He's hit it all 5 times. It seems like when they do that play action, they look deep. If A.J. Brown's covered, they go to Dallas Goedert. And I think he might have multiple plays this week that are over that longest reception of 18.5. And guys, if you are not already on Outlier, you're making a huge mistake because you could find all these props right on Outlier that show you the hit percentage and how frequently they've done it. It's been a big help for us to find you guys these plays. And as you guys know, we are 4-1 giving out our Outlier POD. So let's continue to cash them. We're hitting at an 80% rate on these, and we're taking guys that are hitting at an 80 to 100% rate. So join in, come cash, and let's get another prop. We'll recap this winner tomorrow. Boys, that's going to do it for basically the show, but we have one more part of the show that we have to give the people, and that's going to be our best bets. Ben, as our special guest, who's not a special guest anymore. I don't know why I keep saying that. You're a regular of the show, but just to bother you, I'm going to keep calling you our special guest. What are your best bets for today?
I still like you saying it. I still like to hear it,
I still want to make you feel special every day, brother.
Yep. I'm doing the Astros. I love the price. I love getting plus money on them. And then I'm going to take that Kirk Cousins over 33.5 passing attempts. That's my favorite prop for tonight. And then actually, while you guys were talking, I got a little bit of an inkling that I'm going to make a best bet here right now. It's going to be I don't usually do this for one game, but I actually love this spot. It's going to be the teaser on the Falcons. Now, it depends on your book how you get this, but it's 6 points for Falcons, plus 12. And then, well, because it was plus 12 on mine, but some of you are 12.5. Falcons plus 12 and over 39.5. With how much we've seen that Packers, with how much we've seen that Eagles secondary struggle, I think that Kirk will be able to actually get the ball out tonight and score on the Eagles. But on the same point, you guys made a lot of good points about the Eagles. We were just talking about their offense, how scary it is. Although the Falcons defense is better in this game, I think the Eagles will be able to still score quite a bit. So over 39.5, I think we're going to get to 40 points pretty easily in this game.
I do too.
I think we could have a high scoring game, but I also think the Falcons are going to keep it somewhat close, at least within double digits. So that's one of my favorite plays tonight, honestly, just thinking about it with how we were all breaking it down. But live on air, that's my favorite one.
Awesome. What are the best bets, or is that the only one?
No, I gave it 2 others, 3 total.
2 total, 3 total, including the props. There we go. JD, you're next. What do you got for the best bets today?
All right, today let's actually give out 3. Let's go with the Dodgers. Let's actually go with them on the money line at actually minus 115. Then let's go to the D-backs game. Let's go over. We can get over 11 runs at actually minus 116. And then to the Monday Night Football game, let's take the Eagles and let's take them in the first half at actually minus 3 at actually minus 110.
All right. I love it. There are the picks from JD. Let me give you guys Let me give you guys my best bets. I got 3, 4. I'll give out the prop as well. First one, over 7.5 in the Astros Padres, minus 115. Went over the reasons why. Second one, Diamondbacks, minus 1.5 at minus 115 as well. Third play, Dallas Goedert, anytime touchdown, plus 210. He's going to find the end zone tonight, fellas. And Eagles, minus 5.5. Sorry, Ben. I do think the Eagles are going to win this by double digits. I hope they win exactly by 9, so you get your teaser. I get my side. And I hope that at halftime, it's 20-0 Eagles, so JD gets his first half as well. Fellas, fantastic Monday show. We came on. We gave the people MLB. We gave them NFL. We even had props as well and had our outlier play of the day. We appreciate every single person who tuned in. We will be back tomorrow as we are here 5 days a week now. Same time, same place. We appreciate every single one of you, and we do have a very big special guest tomorrow. Stay tuned for that. JD, say goodbye to the people.
Later, guys.
Good luck, everyone.
Good luck. See you later, Ben.